Well, hey guys, it's Jennifer. Welcome back to the podcast. This is podcast episode number 223, where we're talking about how you can look at where there's gaps in the world, in your life, in the industry, and fill in the gaps with a business idea. So we're actually calling this podcast Fill in the Gaps. There you go. I'm excited about it. So we're talking about for people who feel like they're in a really saturated market, like where can you see that there's an opening? Or for those of you who are wanting to start a business, but you have no idea what you would start a business in. Or for those of you who sit at home going, gosh, I wish there was a blah, 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 an XYZ, how you can take that and turn that perhaps into a business. We're going to talk about filling in the gaps. So I'm super excited about that. But first, I'm going to read a podcast review because here's the thing. Every time you guys go and leave a review on like Apple Podcasts, or even if you bought my book and you go and leave a review there, the reviews really matter because that's a lot of times how guests gauge whether or not they want to be on my podcast, whether or not they want to promote my book, etc. So your reviews matter and I like to pay attention to them. So here's a quick review from L Man, the Chose None. Let's see. I feel right now like Jimmy Fallon. You know, when he's reading like tweets from people. So this is a podcast review from L Man, the Choose None. And they say, I love how relatable Jennifer is in every single podcast. She brings so much truth. And as a business owner, it's inspiring and motivates me to continue to do the hard stuff in business. So L Man, I don't know if you're one of the like 4 guys who listen to me, like, if so, yay. But regardless, I just do pray a blessing over you and your business. In Jesus' name, I pray that you get motivation from heaven to do everything on the side of heaven that God's asking you to do in your business and through your business, and that you would understand that your business is actually a conduit, and it's the way that God's wanting to filter things through you to do things in the world. And so I just bless you in that in Jesus' name. So thank you for leaving the podcast review. Okay, so here's why I came up with this podcast idea. Okay, are you guys ready? So if you follow me on Instagram, you will know that Jason and I just purchased a second home in Florida. Did you know that? It's on 30A. And I'm really surprised by the amount of people that don't know what 30A is. So 30A is like this strip of highway that goes from about the like Destin or Miramar Beach area of Florida, so up on the Panhandle, down to like Panama City. 30A is a 19-mile stretch of beaches and highway with lots and lots of little tiny towns like Watercolor. Why did I just do a weird sucky noise? Did you guys hear that? I just literally like did this weird noise. Okay. We don't have to edit that out. This is real life. Sometimes you make sucky noises when you're 50. All right. Okay. So it's this 19-mile stretch. There's towns like Watercolor, Water Sound, Seacrest, Grayton Beach, Alice Beach, Rosemary Beach. So there's this whole strip of towns, right? So Jason and I bought in the heart of 30A. We bought a place that's right on the water. We're super excited about it. If you follow me on Instagram, especially if you follow me on Jennifer Allwood Home, you'll know I've shown some pictures of that there. But in purchasing that, so we actually closed on it. So we had the wildest July, you guys, ever. It was just so wild. Jason had his accident where he broke his hip in June. We lost his father in July. I turned 50, July 29th. Our little girl turned 7, July the 30th, and we closed on the house on July 30th. So July was wild. Now that we've owned the place for, 3 weeks, I am going next week down there to like flip out furniture, start the whole remodel process, all of the things. I'm getting used to different, things in Florida that are maybe ideas there that wouldn't work in the Midwest, but things that are more common there that wouldn't work here. But you guys, there's so many good ideas that I want to share with you because there are things that I were thinking in my mind, oh man, this is kind of hard. I wish that there was a company that does XYZ. And then I find out there is a company that does XYZ. And I thought this is how really cool businesses actually come about. Okay. So I want to give you just a couple of ideas. Okay. So number one, I'm here in Kansas City. The house had renters in it the entire month of August. And I didn't feel like we should kick the renters out in order for us to go down or change the furniture or anything. Because we were going to be basically canceling people's vacations at the end of July. And that made me feel like a jerk, right? So we're just like, okay, the people that were supposed to be staying there can still stay for the month of August, which is why we're not going down to now. But in the meantime, I've been like looking for furniture to completely redo. And, but then in my head, I'm like, well, wait a second. What do I do? Because furniture, if you don't know right now, is a hot, stinking mess to get ordered. If any of you are trying to build a house, move, redecorate rooms, anything like that, things are out of stock, things are back order. Thank you, COVID, not. But just like the end table that I wanted, our coffee table for the living room is 8 to 9 weeks out. Okay. Yeah. I'm not waiting that much. Is it just me? But I ain't got time to wait. I'll find something else similar. I'm not waiting 8 to 9 weeks, but in my head, I was thinking, okay, so like if the sofa is going to be there in 5 days, but the bed's not coming for 10 days and the new rugs are not coming for 2 weeks, like what do we do? Because if I've got people staying there at the house, I can't just have like deliveries coming. I mean, first of all, I don't know them. Second of all, I can't expect them to bring them in the house. Like, then what do they do with the old rugs? Like, that's a mess. So in my head, I was thinking, I wish that there was a company that could like, take my deliveries in. Well, lo and behold, there is. People in Florida have started what they're calling receiving companies. And maybe this is a thing everywhere in the world, and I'm just the last to know. But essentially, they take your furniture orders, they hold them in a warehouse, and when you're ready for them, so when I'm there next week, they will literally deliver all of the furniture that's been gathering there for the last month to our place. I mean, that's stinking genius. And I'm guessing the reason that came about is because I'm not the first person that lives somewhere other than in Florida to purchase a place in Florida who has all this furniture, but you don't know how to get it there since I'm not there to receive it. Does that make sense? Genius. I'm like, oh my gosh, people are genius. Okay. So then let me keep giving you more ideas here because this is wild. So we've got that. Well, then I was like, but the way that those receiving companies charge is like by the size of things, that you're delivering. And we are essentially replacing everything in the house. So I want you to think of everything from, the wine openers to the door handles, to the light fixtures, to the pizza sheets and blenders and coffee makers and everything else. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I've got 9 million approximately things on Amazon, and I don't want to send those things to the receiving company because then they're going to charge me. They charge by like how many things you get, how much it weighs, how big the boxes are, because it's holding up space in their receiving area. And I'm like, well, I don't want to send all these little tiny Amazon things to them. Gosh, I wish that there was some place that I could send all my Amazon packages. Did I just say some weird packages? I don't know what I just said. Packages. And lo and behold, there are people that will accept your Amazon packages. I have a lady who DM'd me on Instagram and she said, I'm essentially a concierge on 30A. I'm a concierge for people who have bought property here but don't live here. So I can orchestrate, organize, keep anything for you. And I'm like, what? So she literally has a PO box that I send all of my Amazon packages to. And then the day that I get there next week, she brings all the Amazon packages to me. I mean, how genius is that? She saw a need again in the marketplace. And she's like, let me just fill in that gap and start my own thing. And I'm like, yay. Her name is Christy. Christy, thank you. Okay, let me keep going because there's some amazing ideas here. All right. So if you're familiar at all with 30A, it's very like small town, quaint beach communities versus a big city. So the area we bought in does not have the big high-rise building. Our particular condo is in a 3-story building. We are on the top story. I don't see anything any taller, for miles and miles and miles. We can literally see almost to Destin and almost to Panama City from where we're at. And there's just not a lot of high-rises like what you see in Panama City or in Destin. Okay, they're all shorter buildings. So what the heck was my point about that? Oh, I don't know. But anyway, okay. So where we purchased at, it's a unique area in that, oh, this is it, because it's like smaller and quaint, and Lyft and what's the other one besides Lyft? Uber are there, but they're not reliable, not consistent, and not really recommended. This is all stuff I'm finding out from different Facebook groups. Okay. So what do we do then? Because, I need to come down there and do more shopping, and I need to, okay, I can't use Uber or Lyft. I guess I'll just rent a car. Okay. So we will be flying into ECP Airport, which is, I don't know, you guys, why they call it ECP. It's like Northwest Florida Panhandle Airport or something. It is 30 minutes from our home, and it's a super small airport that is so easy to get in and out of. I'm so happy. They have direct flights from Kansas City daily. I am thrilled. Okay. So we're going to fly into ECP. Well, how many of you know that at the start of the pandemic, what happened is a lot of companies that owned rental cars sold off their fleet. The rental car companies, they got rid of a lot of stock because people weren't traveling, people weren't renting cars. So they essentially had to still continue to make income. So they sold a lot. Okay. So now that people are traveling a lot more, and let me just tell you, they are traveling a lot right now. We have traveled several times in the last few months, and the planes are all full. And there's Mr. Magic back there. If you're watching me on YouTube right now, you can see him. So that means that now people need rental cars, and all these rental car companies are like, we got no cars. Okay. So by the way, there's like no cars to buy. and sell. There's no cars to rent. There's also no houses to buy. I'm like, how are we in the middle of where we're at in the world? And yet you can't buy anything. Okay. So anyway, it's a whole another side topic. So anyhow, it's really hard to rent a vehicle from the ECP airport. Okay, so supply and demand. This is how business works. When it's difficult to be able to do something like rent a car, what happens? People, they bump up the price of renting a car. So for me to go next week and just stay 2 nights in Florida, a rental car was going to cost almost $1,000. $1,000, you guys, for 2 nights. That's ridiculous. Okay, so in walks somebody who thinks to themselves, you know what? The price of renting things down here in Florida, it is crazy. Or maybe they're not actually in Florida. I got to look up the name because I'm going to say this wrong. I'm going to say it wrong. Hang on. And so if you guys have not heard of, okay, here it is. This is a nationwide program. It's called Turo. T-U-R-O. Okay. I thought it was Toro because somebody was smart enough to recognize that sometimes you can't get an Uber, sometimes you can't get a Lyft, and sometimes you don't want to go through the rigmarole of standing in an airport waiting line, waiting for the person at the budget counter, or the Avis counter to get your vehicle. And then you're feeling frustrated and you've signed up for the extra perky stuff, which means I should be able to bypass the counter, but it's such a small airport that I can't bypass the counter. And so I still have to stand here. And some people just don't have the capacity to do that and don't want to do that. So Turo is an organization, company, whatever, that somebody dreamt up that's smarter than you and me because they saw the need. And it's essentially an app on your phone that is just like VRBO, except it's for cars. You rent out personal vehicles. For those of you who are sitting at home right now thinking, how can I make some money? And you have an extra vehicle in the garage, get your vehicle on Turo. This is genius. Okay, so I can go onto Turo, onto the app, and basically say, I'm going to be here on this date and this date. I'm looking for this type of vehicle, or I can, do a search by just, trucks, cars, what have you, luxury vehicles. And the people that live in that area, they've listed their car on the Turo app. Like you just make a plan with them on where they're leaving the vehicle, where the key will be. Will the key be like in the gas tank? Will it be under the bumper? Will they meet you at the car? And you're renting their vehicle. This is freaking genius. When you think of like VRBO and Airbnb and how smart that is, and then you just had somebody who thought to themselves, why can't we do this with cars? And you can. Listen, a friend of mine in Kansas City, my friend Vince, shout out to him and Kenna, they just realized that you can also now rent out your pools for people locally who want to rent your pool for an evening, rent your pool for a day. For different types of parties. It's like the VRBO of pools. Did you know this is even a thing? I love that people are like looking at the world and they're going, you know what? I wish there was a blah, blah, blah. And they're just starting it. Like, this is how all good ideas happen. Thank you, Jesus, for people who just are brave enough to start things. Okay, I've got two more. Are you ready? Because it's so stinking smart. Okay. Yeah, Florida is a smart idea in today's crazy world. Thank you for saying that, Brenda. Brenda's watching me record this podcast on Facebook right now. Okay, so I've got 2 more ideas for you. So Turo is, and you can do it anywhere, not just in Florida, but I'm actually renting from Turo, and I'm renting a nice vehicle when I go, not next week, but the next week when I go, I'm renting a nice vehicle, and I am so stinking excited about it. And I can come back if you want and let you know, or do this. If you've ever rented from Turo, would you do me a favor and do a little post about it on your Instagram stories? Because I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. I'm making you as a business owner, get on your stories, tag me, number 2, because then if I reshare that story, then you can automatically, hopefully get some new followers as well. So if you've ever used Turo, I want to know about it. Okay. 2 more genius business ideas. All right. From the Florida Panhandle area. Okay. So now that I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups for people that, live in the area and trying to kind of get the lay of the land, because in case you don't follow me on Instagram, Jason and I purchased the home when he was hopped up on painkillers. Okay. He's less than a week out from having a complete hip surgery for a crushed hip he got on Father's Day in a biking accident. And so he's hopped up on painkillers that should probably be illegal. And so I see this place come up. It's in a town I've never been to in Florida. I don't even know where it is. We buy it sight unseen. We make the deal, bada boom, bada bing, the same day with the sellers, which was amazing, right? But we also just don't know what we don't know. We've been down to 30A many times, to the seaside area. We've been to Rosemary Beach. We've been through the towns. We've driven through Grayton Beach. We've been there. We've stayed in that area, but this particular town we did not know. So join all these Facebook groups and things. Well, now I'm finding out all this other really cool stuff that's down in the area. Let me give you 2 examples. Did you know that if you're ever down on that area of 38, and maybe it's other places too, but there are literally companies that will do fires on the beach for you. They will bring the pit, and you can order like s'more sets from them, and you can literally make s'mores with your family on the beach. That's brilliant. You know how that idea started? Somebody one night was thinking to themselves, Self, I sure wish we could have a s'more on the beach right now, but I bet we can't bring our own fire pit down here, but it sure would be cool if we could. Let me check with the city ordinance and see what the rules are. Let me just go ahead and start taking some steps to thinking if anybody else would even maybe want to do this. Oh my gosh, what if I just started a business? Let me get a business name. Let me get a business license. Bada boom, bada bing. Now there are fires on the beach with people making s'mores. I mean, come on. What is this world that we live in? That's a great idea. Last idea for you. There are also companies down there that are teaching sandcastle building lessons. This is brilliant to me. I know nothing about building a sandcastle. It has never occurred to me that I want to know anything about building a sandcastle. But now that I've seen the sandcastle Facebook page, I've got it in our little like guide in our ready to go in our unit of things that all of our guests, family and friends need to be doing while they're down that area. Take a sandcastle building lesson. This is how businesses start, friends. So if you're sitting at home right now and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I could do a business. I don't want to go back to my 9 to 5. I hate some of the new rules there. I don't like some of the new mandates there. I don't want to go there. I want to be home and homeschool my kids. Whatever your circumstances may be, I want you to start thinking of like gaps that you see in the marketplace that you could fill with a business. Things that you're like, gosh, I wish there was a blah, blah, blah. And then you start the blah, blah, blah. Because if you're thinking it, I guarantee you other people are thinking it also. Think of what you wish was available and somehow make it happen. I love that. Do you know when I was starting my Inner Circle coaching group 5 years ago last month, 5 years I've had my coaching group. The reason I started the Inner Circle is because I was looking for an online group where it was creatives, mostly women who loved Jesus, who needed to like learn more stuff about building a business online. And I couldn't find it and felt like it was like tap, tap, tap from God, like, tag girl, you're it. That's how we started my coaching group. This is how a lot of businesses actually begin. And I guarantee you, if you're looking around your home, if you're looking in your neighborhood, if you're looking in your community, there are things you wish were going on. There are things that you think are so cool in other cities that you wish that you could do here. And I'm wondering if that's just the gap, just the sliver of opportunity that some of you need to start something that would give you an opportunity to get out of that thing maybe that you hate, or just have an additional revenue stream or what have you. So I hope this was a blessing for somebody today. I am so excited about our place in Florida, but I was super excited about all these like random business ideas that I see going on down there. Everything from having receiving places to, a concierge for Amazon packages since I don't live there, to, the Turo app to rent another vehicle, sandcastle building. Who would even think it? Last night I was looking at this Facebook page for people who want to know, what's it called when you just glide on top of the beach on a surfboard? Honey, what was that called last night we were looking at? Surf gliding, beach gliding, something like that. You can take those lessons down there too. Like, I love that saying, necessity is the mother of all invention. And maybe those things aren't necessities, but man, they're fun and they're doing really well. And I guarantee you, some of you have ideas you've been sitting on for a hot stinking minute that would do really well too. I hope this was an encouragement to you today. Some of you have some friends that you just hung out with this weekend who have an idea, who don't know how to make it happen. Send them this podcast episode, would you? I hope that it gets somebody excited to do something that maybe nobody else has thought of, or that nobody else is doing in your area. Bless you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.